Your cult boyfriend here. Honestly, feeling like your sick boyfriend right now, so if my delivery sounds stilted or weird, that's why. And if this whole video comes across as some sort of bizarre fever dream, that's also why. Endings are stubborn and they are what they are. To be a postmodern teen idol, a sex symbol in a time of post-irony, a deliberately idealized form in the age of the deconstructed form, a beauty so self-referential it fetishizes the sentimental. To the postmodernist, nothing is more taboo than sentimentality. Nothing was more tender than nostalgia. On top of that, nothing is more nostalgic than first love. To immortalize her, the girl next door, the young girl who secretly defines us. While our feelings for her seem to be crystallized, emotional time standing sentimentally still, the girl herself becomes a woman, a muse, something greater, some celebrated thing. Our Joey Potter is always leaving and constantly arriving. An idol of postmodern pop can only be framed in motion. Our Creek days stand still, her smile's still there. Naivety is not dishonesty. We come of age, we grow, endlessly barreling outwards. Sentimentality can be sincere, and some girls never die. Just ask Frank Capra of Cape Side. Joey Potter, it's been too long. I miss the feeling. I miss its revelations. Postmodern diatribes have been told with ruined Shakespearean tongues. A perfect sonnet couldn't capture Joey Potter. She must be framed in motion. Joey Potter is inescapable sentimentality. Joey Potter is the postmodernist's weakness. Joey makes me weak. She makes me melodramatic. Joey Potter drives postmodernists insane. Joey Potter is the most perfect thing in an imperfect universe. Joey is hope itself. Hope for understanding and knowing the world is beautiful because she's alive, because Josephine Potter is meaning itself. My meaning, my dream, Joey Potter and Dawson's Creek and the Daydream Believer. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. To see her as Dawson and Pacey do, to realize Dawson's Creek isn't actually about Dawson Leary. It's Joey's show, her creek, his tribute to her. To see her in motion. No sonnet can accomplish what a dream can. To deconstruct the ultimate postmodern dream girl. All we have to do is admire the naked eroticism of nostalgia and sentimentality. The romantic imagination fueling every possibility. Even postmodernists dream. Do postmodernists dream of deconstructed lips? Or do they dream of her breath? Do they dream of the machinations of love, or do postmodernists dream of love's song in its rhythm, in motion, as in its act, its event? Postmodernism can't account for Joey Potter. Philosophy bets against her, but I wouldn't. Oh, what can it mean? We all have a Joey Potter. Katie Holmes is beautiful, nearly mystically in tune with audience self-reference. We still see Katie Holmes, but we can also see the real person we're projecting onto Dawson's projection. Dawson's Creek is part postmodern fantasy. Joey Potter is magical. Her archetype compels the viewer to project their own first love onto Katie Holmes, who, apart from being nearly goddess-like in her own right, her sad and feeling eyes compel the viewer to make idols of their boyhood crushes. Dawson's Creek is a postmodern teen series that turns the jaded and self-aware into oblivious daydream believers. Joey Potter was the only character who actually appeared in every episode. Katie Holmes was always in motion, and we were trying to keep up. desperately to a daydream believer. I don't think anything's more informative than first loves. Nothing has more lasting interpersonal or philosophical effect than sexual awakening. Joey Potter largely defines us all. Dawson and Pacey are helplessly drawn to her. Dawson tries to hold her still. He attempts to freeze her, as if her appeal could one day wither, and maybe one day it will. It might. But that's a cruelty. Dawson wants her to stand still so he can hold her, so he can wrap his arms around her in place, in a specifically deliberate position. Dawson doesn't trust perpetual motion. In fact, he rejects it. Pacey wants Joey to transcend, to abandon the narrative structure of Dawson Leary's life and sail with him into the unknown, the unwritten, and the unaired. Pacey can keep up with her motion at her speed, but he knows his role, his archetype, his unimpressive destiny. His future would contain and conceal her, so he would rather lose her than compromise her movements. And homecoming queen. Jen Lindley is not Joey Potter, decidedly not. Agreed upon by all to not be Joey Potter. No one even tried to hold Jen Lindley still. She was fetishized in early episodes, but never worshipped as Joey Potter always, consistently, daringly was. Jen didn't need to understand Dawson, and Dawson saw her in more experiential dimensions, as something to be experienced, more mature than he saw Joey, which irritated Joey. Because Dawson was obsessed with trying to keep his postmodern dream girl still, trying to keep his sentimental brunette sentimental. Joey's an incredible woman. Dawson used Jen to express the physicality of want. She was bad girl sophistication, and Joey wasn't. I personally feel I'm pretty open about how I feel about Katie Holmes. I personally think Katie Holmes is basically the most beautiful woman ever. She's definitely my personal dream girl. Her acting is also exceptional, and her Dawson's Creek performance is honestly legendary. Her eyes had a power, and her smile still stuns. Her speech pattern still absorbs us, and the smallest bit of her motion, even isolated, moves mountains once believed glacial and inert. Katie Holmes is still moving, and she'll never stop moving. Dear Joey Potter, it's important to remember you. Everyone has a you. You've been in every life. Every life possible, imaginable. Everyone has a Joey, the girl who could crush cynicism. Joey Potter, the girl next door that nihilism is afraid of. The girl so full of meaning that meaninglessness itself, hip, trendy, sexy, is forgotten, lest the meaning of her figure takes over. Joey Potter, the first girl to surprise you keeps surprising you. Ask me to stay, or leave with me. Did you surprise her? She deserves a beautiful shock to her narrative system. Can you keep up? You can't paint her. You can't hold her. Can you liberate her? She's subject to the same absurd penalties of existence we all are. Boyhood crushes as forever existential others. Dawson wants to protect her from the nihilism of the postmodern age. Keep her in some sort of idealistic captivity. Pacey thinks she's stronger than any philosophical prison. Joey Potter is the unknowing enemy of nihilism. Joey Potter, the nemesis of the meaningless. She continues to grow. Her touch attacks our world. I'll tell you one thing, though. I wouldn't bet against that Potter girl. The odds are insurmountable, but she's powerful. The Achilles heel of the modern thinker is the girl behind the bleachers wearing your t-shirt. Intensely smart and overwhelmingly attractive, Joey Potter is the goddess of memory in the postmodern collective. To be a sex symbol in the pop postmodern era is a complicated role. Katie Holmes' beauty is undeniable and likely eternal. But she's more than that. Katie Holmes is a pinup of meaning in its fullest, purest form. She's a meaningful centerfold in a meaningless time, a centerfold of pure and total meaning. The postmodernist desires meaning above all else, no matter what they will tell you. And the meaning of Katie Holmes is just as undeniable and palpable as her sublime physical features. She's the meaning we lack. Katie Holmes embodies the light at the end of the tunnel, and Joey Potter represents the kiss hidden within the void, the smile illuminating our abyss. Dawson's Creek is moving, and it holds the capacity to make me extremely emotional. I am very impressed by just about everything about it. The first 4 seasons are perfect, unparalleled, nearly without, beyond compare or measure. Even seasons 5 and 6, widely agreed to be populated by missteps and fueled by a fluctuating sense of qualitative substance, are still valuable in their own idiosyncratic ways. For instance, I love how Charlie chooses to interact with the sex symbol that is Katie Holmes as Joey Potter. I love the way that Charlie is drawn to it. This is, of course, Chad Michael Murray's character in season 5. There's still a fascinating interaction between iconography with the male sex symbol of postmodernism confronting and trying to romance the female counterpart. By far, the show's most astonishing achievement was providing postmodern pop with a new postmodern dream girl, a sincere antidote to nihilism. Joey Potter as the retributive justice for the lost, self-defeated absurdist. Sisyphus never stopped moving, and neither should postmodern sex symbols, nor should their memory. And what gives golden memories their indescribable movements? Sentimentality and melodrama drives these motions. Joey Potter represents the inescapable sincerity of the naive and of the lovesick. And I love Joey. I love Joey Potter a lot.